Hey guys, Sunny Bryson here, and today we're going to talk about something that happened that I'm not very happy about whatsoever. And to be honest with you, it is sad, it's upsetting, and it's almost also frustrating, okay? And the answer is, you might ask me, Tommy, you post videos on YouTube every single day. Why? The answer is because I believe, like genuinely, I believe that information is key. And the more you actually know about everything, about investing, about debt, about every single aspect of finance, the better you're going to be off in the future, okay? That's what I truly believe. And I believe the more videos I make about these topics, the more people I can help and the bigger the difference I can actually make. So that's why this story hits me so hard, because basically I never made a video about any of this stuff right here. So in a way, I feel like, you know what? If I made a video about this and maybe this guy right here might have watched that video, maybe something might have been different, okay? It's a very strange feeling. But the answer is this, okay, guys? This guy right here is named Alex. And Alex was 20 years old when he actually took his own life. And the answer is, well, Alex started investing and he actually liked investing. He actually enjoyed it. And according to some information out there by his family, it says that basically he was always a very keen saver. And then he got into investing. He fell in love with that also. And he was so excited about the market. And I could also believe that, hey, when I first started investing, I was so excited about everything. But one thing I didn't know was anything about investing, but I just had that feeling of like, hey, this is so excited. I can make money here, I can make money there. But the answer is, guys, Alex had around $16,000, and quickly after investing, he got into option trading. And as you guys know, option trading is very complicated. It's also very risky, and there's a lot of ways to basically leverage things in a way so you actually don't lose a ton of money. And Alex was actually doing that. However, he actually woke up after making some trades the next day, opened his Robinhood account, and basically saw that he owed around $750,000. Now, as you guys know, as a 20-year-old seeing a negative balance of $750,000 in your accounts, you're going to lose your mind right then and there, and you're going to freak out. You're going to freak out, right? So Alex went ahead, and unfortunately, he took his own life. But the sad thing is not just that he took his life, but the sad thing is that basically whenever you're doing option trading, basically sometimes there are glitches with the system that show that you have a massive loss, but in reality, the investments themselves haven't really settled, so you haven't really seen your actual loss, and it can actually be a lot more different. So in actuality, he could have lost maybe a lot less than this, and it could have been avoided just if he didn't really see that glitch and he actually understood what was actually going on. And in some way, I'm frustrated at myself in a way because I didn't make a video about this. I'm frustrated about Robinhood because of the glitches in their system. And I'm also frustrated that how can a person that's 20 years old in any way see a negative balance of $750,000 in their investment account? Now, just to give you guys some more background here, the entire idea is that what he was doing, according to Forbes, was something called bull puts. And the idea is that basically you're having options of to sell or to buy, but you set both. And that way you have different legs. So basically, if you lose on one side, the other side basically leverages, and that way you don't lose a ton of money. And that is exactly what Alex was actually doing. So in a sense, although he was making these massive trades, he wasn't ever really going to lose a ton of money because he always had leverage or a security to actually hold him back. And on top of that, he also believed that he didn't have the margin feature on Robinhood actually set according to the letter he actually left his family. So when he woke up and saw this massive negative balance, he freaked out. He lost it, and he didn't know what to do. And to be honest with you guys, it is the first time I ever hear anything like this ever happened, at least in my lifetime, but it's not the first time I've heard about things like this ever happening in the history of the stock market, in the history of America. If you go back to 1929, around the Great Depression time, when people basically went to banks and heard that, hey, I'm sorry, the bank closed down, we don't have any money for you. Well, people took decisions just like Alex did. When people lost a ton of money in the market, people took decisions just like Alex did. So for this video, my job and the job of a lot of creators out there that make videos about finance is basically to inform you, to make sure you understand what are your options if anything like this ever happens to you and you don't know what to do. Because let's be honest, okay, if you're investing, you have to understand that what investing always comes with some form of risk. You never know what the market is going to do. And whenever I invest, I always understand that, hey, the longest time we had a bear market for was around 20 to 25 years. So I always understand, like, hey, it could be a very long time until I see any of my money back. So you have to understand that investing always comes with risk. But what frustrates me the most, guys, is that basically this right here could have just been a glitch with Robinhood that led this kid to make the decision that basically cost him his entire life. So here are some things that I want to tell you guys, just some options, and that way you know exactly what to do when it comes to this. Because in reality, guys, when I started investing at age 18 or 19, I didn't have a mentor. No one taught me anything, and everything I learned it from books, from Warren Buffett, and from people that actually did a ton of things. But a lot of people don't really do that. What they do is basically they start investing, they jump in the water, and they always feel FOMO, the fear of missing out. And in a way, you know what, when I talk about investing, guys, I made this much money, I made this investment, here's why I'm investing into this. Sometimes you might feel like, hey, I need a lot of money fast, I need to invest very quickly because basically I might lose my chance. But in the end, guys, okay, the stock market has been here before you were born, and it'll be here long after you are also gone. So the idea is there is no need to rush if you don't have all the right information you need to make the decisions you actually need to make. Now, the first thing I want to tell you guys is this, okay? There's this saying that I learned a long time ago from one of my favorite books. And the idea is, if you owe a bank $1,000, then that is your problem, right? Because basically, they will ruin your credit score and you will be in massive trouble over that $1,000. However, if you owe a bank $1 million, well, that's not your problem anymore. That's the bank's problem. Because if you don't have any income, they have to figure out a way to actually collect money from you. And on top of that, since we live in America, bankruptcy is always an option. Now, although with Alex, he probably didn't really owe that money whatsoever, because in reality, it was just according to allegations out there that I also read it from Forbes. The idea is that it hadn't settled. So in reality, that's not all the money he actually owed. But the point I'm making is, guys, if at any point you get to this massive hole of debt, bankruptcy is always an option. And it's something that was set in stone in our culture as Americans, because basically back in the days, if you went bankrupt, you actually went to jail. There was no bankruptcy, okay? If you owe somebody money, they could literally put you in jail or make you their slave and do a ton of things to you, okay? That was the idea. But then you have all these new laws now saying like, hey, you have bankruptcy. If you go bankrupt, basically, yeah, your credit score will be ruined for like 7 years. But in reality, slowly but surely, you can recover. So the point here is that this right here, taking your own life, should never, ever be an option because of anything that comes financially, okay? It should never be an option because in reality, it stops becoming your problem when you basically file for bankruptcy. And on top of that, if you have student loan debts or any debt you can't get rid of with bankruptcies, in reality, well, if you don't have any income, they have to figure out a way to actually collect that money from you, okay? And when you actually start earning money, they're not going to take all your money away and your life is not going to be ruined, okay? So there are always a ton of options out there, you know? And I think that, for example, I think about the mindset of Alex when all this was going on, and I wish, okay? I wish Robinhood puts a feature in their entire application that basically says, hey, you can contact us 24/7 if you have any questions whatsoever. Because I think the first thing Alex thought about was basically, what is going on? How is this possible? Who can I talk to? And you know, with Robinhood, it's all email most of the time. So you can't really call someone to find out exactly what's going on. That option is just not there. And that's why I like using applications that basically let me call them in case anything happens. Because basically when you talk about $750,000, you want to find out exactly what's going on. So an option to call people online or when customer service have like a quick conversation right then and there to find out. I know it's like extra money for Robinhood, but in the end, you know, it helps customers understand exactly what's going on, and that way you can prevent something like this from happening in the future also. And by the way, you know, ever since the pandemic, Robinhood has had an increase in demand with their application, which basically led them to actually have a lot of updates. So I'm not surprised if something glitched or anything like that, because it could happen, and then this kid, you know, lost it because of it, okay? And another thing I want to mention is this, guys. When it comes to number 2, I also want to mention leverage. Leverage is a double-edged sword. On the one side, you might make a lot of money. On another side, you might lose a ton of money also. And that is the danger of actually using leverage without understanding exactly how you're actually using leverage. So I always recommend, and Warren Buffett says this all the time, you know what? Leverage has led a lot of smart people astray, and has actually ruined a lot of families and a lot of people out there. So the idea is never over leverage, and always understand exactly what you're investing into. And I know, you know, people say like, hey Tommy, no, I'm different. I know exactly what I'm doing here. Everything's gonna be just fine. And then you find out later that, hey, I owe a ton of money. I don't know what happened. The market went left instead of right, and I just don't know what actually went on. And that's why when I make my videos, I always talk about long-term investing. If you want to learn about picking stocks or whatever you want to do, I always recommend read The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. And if you want to learn about index fund, read the little book about common sense investing by John C. Bogle. My whole thing, my whole job in this channel is to basically always give you guys resources to find out more information before you go out there and invest. Number 3, there's something called FOMO. The idea that, hey, the market is going down right now. If I don't buy now, I'm going to lose my chance. I'm going to make a lot of money. And I get calls every so often from friends telling me, Tommy, you know what? I want to start investing right now. I'm going to borrow $10,000 and put this money into the market and hopefully make a ton of money. How can I do it? And my response is always, I do not know how to do that. I only know how to invest for the long run, and I only know how to analyze businesses and how to understand exactly what I'm investing into. That's all I know how to do, and I don't recommend you borrow that much money if you don't understand exactly what you're doing. Sometimes I get frustrated, but the last thing I want to see is someone get hurt. Rule number 4. At all costs, whenever it comes to investing, you always want to make sure you understand exactly what you're investing into. Because although risk is always a part of investing, risk can always be mitigated by the understanding of a company. Because in the end, guys, okay, stocks are not pieces of paper or numbers that go up and down in your phone, in the Robinhood, SoFi, Acorn, whatever application it is out there. The answer is no. Stocks or businesses. If you learn to analyze a business, then you'll be solid to go. If, for example, you feel like, hey, Tommy, I don't want to wait until I learn how to analyze businesses, the answer is grab your money and invest it into an index fund, for example, the S&P 500, and let your money grow over time. And while that's doing that, then start learning about businesses, but do not go out there and risk your money. And next thing you know, you either lost a ton of money or something went wrong. You always want to make sure you understand exactly what you're doing. And the last thing is this, guys, okay? When it comes to investing, you always want to play a game that the odds are always in your favor. When I invest, I understand that, hey, the odds are in my favor because basically the data of over 100 years or so tells me that, hey, Tommy, what you're doing is correct, and over time, you're going to win. I don't play complicated games. For example, I don't do option trading. I don't do day trading, because in the end, as an investor, what you really want to do is create, in a sense, passive income or create wealth. And there's nothing passive about day trading. There's nothing passive about options, because in reality, it's just like any full-time job out there. So overall, guys, I feel as if I had to make this video right here to make sure that if any person ever goes for anything like this, or the idea ever comes past your mind, that you never ever pick this option. And I'm pretty sure right now, I've seen the article, Robinhood is also hurt. The CEO also posted a statement saying like, hey, we're going to try to fix whatever actually went wrong. But the answer is obviously adjustments need to be made. And I think, for example, if a person doesn't have an income, how the heck can you allow them to borrow so much money in any way by using margins? And it's not the first time we see this happening with Robinhood. So I'm saying this not to put them on blast, but because basically when a company is under pressure, usually that's when they can actually change the most and actually do things that's actually going to help the customer base as a whole and make sure something like this never, ever, ever happens again. But guys, that's about it for this video. And hopefully helped in some way. And I'll be making more videos in the future about investing and what to do if anything goes wrong, and how to make sure you actually don't lose a ton of money. I'll be making a lot of videos like I always do, because my goal is always to tell you guys as much as I know, and that way everything and anything that I know, you know, and that could potentially help you from making a mistake that I either make or I help myself actually not actually make. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.